Kicking off with the weekend vibes, Fins Talk, we going live. Bobby fans and Fish Tank Hank, Miami Dolphins, we got your back. Saturday noon is the place to be, catching Dolphins talking fantasy. From the field to the fan debate, Fins Talk today, don't be late. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby and Hank, they're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay, join the crew, Fins Talk today. Live chatting, stats so prime, Miami hustle all the time. News and views will pave the way. Dive on in, it's Fins Talk today. Pop plays and what went wrong, breaking down each game so strong. Fans united, feel the beat. Fins Talk family can't be beat. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby and Hank, they're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay, join the crew, Fins Talk today. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to a Monday edition, a special edition of Fins Talk today on FTSN. I'm Bobby Fins Talk, joined always by the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Fish Tank Hank. Fish Tank, what's up, my man? Oh, there you go, the illusion. Whoa.
Did you see that? I came in out of the smoke and
Out of the
haze.
I see you, my man. How you doing, brother?
That's all the special effects I got, Bobby. So don't you know. That was it. I'm doing good. I kind of feel like sometimes a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because you're busy hopping around, you know, so you can't be kicking anybody in the butt, which means you're getting kicked in the butt constantly. But anyway, I've been busy with this move.
Yeah.
We moved in. We found a bunch of stuff we have to do, but it's not as bad as we thought it was initially. So it's a little bit better.
That's
But
awesome.
it's still work.
It is. I get that.
I met your brother and your dad.
That's right. Yes, it's been a busy weekend. We didn't do the show on Saturday. I had some stuff come up, and you were busy, obviously, and it was awesome. But it was like, I could say it now because it's Monday, and I haven't posted a picture yet, but a fellow content creator friend of ours, Miss Fins, was in my neck of the woods, so we got to meet up on Saturday and have some brunch and hang out, and I didn't get to see you on Saturday, and also my brother kept calling me, and I'm like, dude, I'm busy. I got company. I'm trying to give my attention to my guest here, and he kept calling me. I'm like, God dang, dude. So I said, hey, excuse me, I apologize to the lunch party. I said, give me a minute. Let me just answer my phone, make sure everything's good with my bro. And so I answer the phone, and it's him, and I'm like, guy, I'm busy. He's like, just wait. Hold on. You need to see someone. And who does he show? It's Fish Tank. He saw Fish Tank. He was pulling in to go play pool with my dad and saw Fish Tank's cars. They were pulling in. He's like, that's Hank. I got to go see Hank. So pretty cool, small world. I was hanging with Miss Fins. My brother met up with Fish Tank Hank, and there you go. The universes were colliding at that moment. But Hank, it's been a little bit because you and I haven't conversed since the draft. We talked obviously on Thursday, and then we saw each other on day 3 of the draft. We spent 2 hours together for round 7, and then we really haven't touched base since the draft. So we've had a couple weeks now to digest the NFL draft, what the Dolphins did during and post. And obviously the drama continues as we see with Tyreek today, and the Jalen Ramsey situation continues. Now, as we get into the draft, you and I haven't talked. Overall picture of the draft, the Dolphins are done. What was your initial reaction after you saw the final tally of the guys that Miami took? Kenneth Grant in the first round, Jonas Savanair, the offensive guard, Jordan Phillips, D tackle, Jason Marshall, defensive back, Dante Trader, Quinn Ewers, Ollie Gordon, and of course, I'm going to miss the guy, Jalen. Oh no, let's see. Zeke Biggers, D tackle out of Georgia Tech. You saw what Miami did. I mean, they got the beef, in this draft.
From
they got
Ollie.
bigger. Yeah, they
from
got
Ollie.
Ollie. Yeah, but man, tell me about it. What do you thought of this draft? What did you think of this draft after it was done?
You know, I was very shocked. Um, they got players that we needed. They went after the trenches, but to me, they weren't picking the best players that were available. Um, and they weren't picking. Um, they weren't picking BPA, and they didn't pick really by needs either, to some degree, because we needed a cornerback and we didn't get one, and there were better cornerback prospects than the defensive tackle we picked up, in my opinion.
Fair.
So, some things were a little disappointing, but at the same time, as a fan, we filled three big holes, kind of, because we got two DTs, but we filled two big holes on one on defense and one on offense. So I'm pretty happy with that, because I've been one of those people that's been complaining, we never stopped the run. We have never stopped the run. It sucks. And we can't keep people from beating up our quarterback. So we did something about it. So in those terms, I'm happy, you know. But, Ollie was a great pickup. We needed somebody big like that can make things happen in that short yardage. So I really liked that pickup. I really liked the first two picks. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, I feel there were better available players. I felt like they reached a little bit on who they had picked. Those seemed to me to be like later round picks. But other than that, if I had to grade it, I'd say we did about a C.
Okay. So let's do this. Let us go pick by pick here, just discussing the player very quick. And then, like you said, who you would have probably preferred at that point, anybody on your mind at that point, or position if you don't have a player in mind. But let's start with that 13th overall pick with Kenneth
Yeah.
Grant. No
Mhm.
doubt, first of all, there's nothing for those who love or hate the pick. There's no doubt that the player is a damn good player coming out of Michigan.
Yep.
Miami's been lucky. It's lucky number 13 for a reason. And he was projected wise, I mean, he was talked about with the 5th overall pick all the way to the 30th pick. I mean, he was all over the map in regards of who projected him where. It was a solid pick just because of what Miami needed, which is true, right? BPA is based off opinion. We know this. You and I both we knew who our BPAs were.
Yeah.
And Kenneth Grant wasn't. He was there. He was in that discussion, but he wasn't BPA. My preference at that point in time, honest to God, was Jahdae Barron out of Texas. That's who I wanted, right? And yeah, we, and not that taking Kenneth Grant was a huge miss. I mean, it's like, hey, but like again, I felt Mason Graham, then you had Kenneth Grant, and then after that, everybody was pretty much close together in regards to D tackle. You could have waited until rounds 2 or 3, and he probably got a quality guy in that spot. But you come away with Kenneth Grant. Here's what Kenneth Grant could give you. I see a lot of people talking about, sack. He's not going to bring you the sacks. Here's my thing. Here's the facts. What is he going to do for you? He's going to take the double teams. He's going to eat it up. Okay. He's going to give Sack Sealer. He's going to give Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. He's going to give them the opportunity to go get the sacks. He's going to open up the secondary, which is our weakest unit in the team next to the offensive line. He's going to give them an opportunity to go catch some footballs because of the batted balls. That's what he gives you. Now, do we know what a rookie's going to do? Do we know he's going to suck or be good or whatever? We don't know.
No
right?
clue.
But we could project what he could be able to bring the team. And I think he's in 2 years from now, Hank, or a season from now, we're going to go, damn, he's a damn good player.
Yeah.
I like him. I like his energy. But I'm with you. I can understand, though, going, man, but at that pick, I would have felt better with a Jahdae Barron out of Texas. I love that kid. And I think he's going to be a smash hit wherever he ended up. I don't remember at this time, but it's going to be great. So,
but, like I said, I'm not disappointed in anybody we picked. I was just surprised.
Yeah, I got you.
I was like, wow, really? With these guys on the board and what, you know, I was like, okay. Okay, but then I looked at the player and I'm sitting there going, wow, great player. You know, I was surprised, but great player. And like you said, the one big thing I took away from that was the double team. The double
Yeah.
team where he can keep either the defensive end or the inside busy, where Sealer or Chop or whoever can get to the quarterback like you're talking about. And that's what he'll do. And in addition to that, we've always had a leak on the run. He'll plug that hole too. At the same time, he's taking on the double team. Where are you going to go? Around those three guys? By the time you get around them, somebody's going to be knocking you down. So, I think it's a great pick that's going to work out for us. I just, I don't know. Everybody
Getting,
has
and
their
well,
own opinion.
everyone has their own opinion because I've seen a lot, and there's a couple people on our channel who've expressed their disappointment in regards of how Miami drafted and all that, and I get it, I understand it. Miami has given you no reason to put faith in them, but I will say we got to give these players time. D
Yeah,
tackle was a need, but also we don't know what their board was. Maybe Kenneth Grant was the BPA on their board. Maybe they've seen something we don't see in this guy. All I know is that they've hit pretty good on D tackles recently. I mean, with Zach Sealer bringing him in, Christian Wilkins, Calais Campbell, they have a familiarity of how to be successful at that position. So
yeah,
I'm going to trust them in regards of Kenneth Grant. Round two, I think more people were upset with the trade up than they are with the player. His offensive line is absolutely a need. I understand people were pissed because we gave up 98 to move up to 37. For Jonah 7A out of Arizona, the offensive lineman. I'm going to tell you what, and I'm going to let you get your piece in here. This is a guy that I did scream for when they made the pick. I was excited because this was my top offensive lineman in the draft. I love this kid. I really do. I think people are, I understand people are upset about 98. I get it. I didn't want to give up 98 either. But if you believe in him and you think he's the guy, you go get your guy. You needed offensive line. You only had James Daniels at right guard. You had Eichenberg at left guard, possibly. You can't go in the season with that. You go
no,
and trade up and you get Jonah 7A. This guy's a physical, violent offensive tackle, offensive lineman. He's versatile. He plays multiple positions. And I already love what he's saying, talking about, about Tua better be ready. I have my guy. This is a day one starter that Miami got. They got 2 day one starters in the first 2 picks. That's important in this league. You need that. And they got that with these 2 guys. So let me ask you, how did you feel about this pick? Obviously everybody has, but you mainly for years have been a proponent like offensive line. They go and they make a big trade up, and it did hurt to lose 98, but was it worth it in your opinion to trade up for 98 for Savanea? Or would you be like, man, we could have stayed at 47, maybe we would have got another guy?
yeah. Well, I went to the draft party. Okay, I wasn't there long, but I went to the draft party, and while I was there, I was kind of back in the green room, and I met Patrick Paul back there,
Nice.
and very nice gentleman. I took a picture with him, a quick photo, and then I told him I had to flex on him, and I showed him a picture of my car, and he really liked it. He was like, "Wow." I said, "Hey, man, you give me an autograph?" And he's like, "It would be an honor to sign that car." And I was like, "All right." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Obviously, we're not going to go to the parking lot right now." So I said, "But if we ever run into one another at some point in time and I have a magic marker or something."
Yeah. There you go. There you go. And hey, you know what? And if he becomes hopefully what we think he'll become, or we hope that he'll become, you get that autograph imprinted on that car, and you're golden, brother. You got it. You'll be set in time.
So this is going with our pick, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right.
Okay, because we're moving him out to left. We know that. He's
Yep.
going out to left tackle.
Yes, he is. Patrick Paul.
You put that beautiful beast of a man that we got as our second pick,
Yes, sir.
either next to him, the other side, wherever you want to put that man. I love the player they got. Love the pick. I was bouncing up and down when we picked him. He was one of my favorite players also, because mainly, and a lot of people don't care about it, but I do, mainly because of his versatility. And, the guy is just an animal. And I think him next to next to Patrick Paul, I just think it could be a good combo for our future. And like I said, if you have to move him over to the other side, that's fine too. But we needed that. We needed that. And I think that's gonna change a lot of things. And like we already talked about, you got Ali.
Yep.
That change, those two players are saying, we want short yardage, those 2 yards we haven't been getting.
That's right.
And, I feel like that's what the Miami Dolphins went after, and protection, of course. I feel like that's what they were saying by doing that, by moving up to pick him.
And
Do,
again,
do I
again,
agree with trading away the pick, or should we have sat tight? Who knows? Who knows?
my thing is this. Like, yeah, I wanted to keep that pick, obviously, because we need 4 picks. I wanted 4 picks in the top 100. There was only 3. I wanted to add
Yeah,
one more, but you end up losing it, and then you wait till the 5th round to make your next pick. I can understand the sour taste in most people's mouths with that
yeah.
trade, but I'll tell you again, this guy was, in my opinion, mine alone, was the number 1 offensive lineman in the draft for me. I loved what I saw in film with him, so I was very excited about this pick, and I believe in him. If you stayed at 98. In 98, Caleb Rogers was selected out of Texas, the offensive tackle, Charles Grant right after him. So those were the tackles that were taken at that point. Xavier Watts was taking a few picks ahead. So you kind of think about like, oh man, who you could have missed at that point in time, because you look at, where was Miami's pick was 48. And if you go to 48, is Urzure from Minnesota was taken. Will Johnson taking a pick before that, Demetrius Knight right after. Tate Ratledge was taken at 57. Here's the thing: I love Tate Ratledge too, out of Georgia. Tate Ratledge
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of him. My issue with him was injuries. That was my biggest concern with him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, again, I just think it's worth it. Now, if you go down, and our next pick was another D tackle, which this is where the surprise came in. This was the very first real big surprise where you kind of went interesting. And that was, I'm sorry, was it round 5 or was it it was round 5? Yes. Was Jordan Phillips, D tackle out of Maryland. Miami took him, and that was 143. And this was the one where it's kind of like, oh, this is interesting, because you think about who they passed up on. There was a few guys still on the board. They didn't take a corner yet. Zoff Frazier was still there. I'm a huge fan of Zoff Frazier and what
I
he was
was
in TSA.
too. I told you, but on the shows previous, that I really liked him when you and I were discussing
Yeah,
some players, and I was like,
and
man, it'd be great to get him. And
there was a
yeah, I
few of
was
them.
surprised.
So Jordan Phillips, again, a big dude, 6'2", 312. Miami needed D tackles, and they got it. This guy was a wrestler, a weightlifter in high school, big body dude. It's not a lot of, in regards of statistics, it's not really there, but a much needed plug for the center in a rotational piece. What did you think of this? Obviously, again, to me, it was a head scratcher, but I understood the pick.
Yeah, I think looking at his physicality is what they went after. This guy, a wrestler, bro. He's a wrestler. That means he knows how to move a body. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And you start moving bodies and pushing them back into the quarterback's face, you're creating all kinds of troubles. You're also stopping the running back in the backfield, and all these other things are happening if you get that push. Or if he leverages them, which a lot of wrestlers know how to do, he leverages them where he puts them on the ground and gets past them. That's still another win. So I totally get the pick. I totally understand it. Weightlifter and all, what we used to say back in the day was country strong,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I truly believe he is going to be country strong based on what he's learned from wrestling and weightlifting. You combine those, you have quite a bit of power on the line. And I like it. I like it a lot. I understand why it's a head scratcher and we had other players on the board, but the overall pick, if you wanted to get something moving to get against the quarterbacks, that's was the guy, one of the guys, obviously, because there were plenty of defensive tackles, but I really liked him as far as after I looked at what he could do for Miami. And like you said, like we said before, he'll free up for Sealer, he'll free up for Chop, and if he's a constant nightmare in the backfield, they're going to double team him too.
Yeah, and again, Miami triple. They drafted 3D tackles, so that tells you how important that position was to them to do that. We're talking about, of course, Zeke Biggers later on around 7, who we'll get to. Next one, again, we were talking about head scratcher, was this pick here because Darian Strong was still on the board, Zaw Frazier was still on the board. They go and take Florida, a hometown boy, local product for Miami, and played at Miami Palmetto High School, which is great. 6 foot, 195, but out of Florida, it wasn't the top corner on my board, was Jason Marshall Jr. That was the first one really where I was kind of like, oh, okay. Kind of like, that kind of like, because, you were hoping that it would be one of the guys you liked. And it was up. And I'm not saying, again,
Hey, I'm just saying, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's going to be a bad player. I understand Duke's point. Duke saying our secondary is going to be trash, good looking. I understand that. There's a lot of the secondary is very scary right now for Miami because if Jalen Ramsey gets traded, you're going in there with Cam Smith, Jason Marshall, Kader Kohu. It's a tough pill to swallow. You just I don't know. You got to hope there's a plan because again, that's where you go. Damn, Jahdae Barron was there in the first round. You could have had him. It's just it's something, dude. So it's a tough pill. I agree with Lou. Hopefully, Jordan Phillips is pinning Josh Allen at midfield and stopping Bills drives. That's what we want. But Jason Marshall is a wait and see. Inconsistent developmental player. He's probably going to get a big chance in the preseason to get a chance at this starting position just because you lose Jalen Ramsey. There's not much to be had at the top. You're going to be competing against Cam Smith, who has not shown anything in 2 years, Kader Kohu, who's a third guy. This could be a big opportunity for Marshall, and we'll see in preseason. Does he step up to the challenge? Does he impress? We'll see. I'm rooting for the kid. I really am. I'll be cheering the hell out of him. I'm not going to hate on him. It was a head scratcher, but here he is. He's going to prove us that why that pick was a great pick for Miami. We'll see. This one I did like.
Yeah, let me say something on him real quick, Bobby. It's nothing against this kid and it's nothing to grind against him. I'm glad we have the player. Okay. But I wasn't happy with the pick. This pick, the second defensive tackle kind of threw me a little bit, But then when I thought about the rotation that those guys could possibly be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, that's really going to rest somebody that's taken on a double team first with the first DT. That big body's going to get some rest. Well, the other guy, he's more of a technique and physical guy from what he knows from wrestling. I'm telling you, he know. I used to wrestle too, and let me tell you, some guys in that wrestling would just take you down in half a second. You didn't know which way was up once you were on the mat. And I have a lot of energy for the second defensive tackle. But that was a little bit of a surprise to me. Now, like you said, this one though, I was like, what the beep beep? What was that? And this is where the picks for me started to slope a little bit. And you know, I love the kid. I hope he excels and I hope he does great. But again, there were other players on the board.
Yeah, I got you. And Josh Wingate, co-host of the On the Clock podcast, the Draft podcast here, the Miami Dolphins Draft podcast on FTSN. He says Kenneth Grant is going to be fun. He liked that pick, and we watched film on Kenneth Grant that day,
Yeah.
talking about that. And I think he was a fan of the Jordan Phillips pick too, if I remember. Dante Trader, the safety out of Maryland. This is a guy that I had my eye on. I liked him. I think he's I think you needed him. Obviously, you needed a safety. I probably would have went Sebastian Castro from Iowa if you were going safety with that pick. But I'll tell you why I like this kid. It's not like he's not like great in any particular thing, but he has a motor, heart. He's physical. When he hits you, you know he's going to hit you. Or it was him. He's physical. I like him. I think I think fans will like him. I think he's going to be a good spot on special teams and might see some rotational time in the secondary. Did you feel any kind of way about this kid taking him?
We needed a safety. So I was happy that we did something about our secondary, is how I felt with the pick. And again, I'm still sitting there, knowing our biggest need and nothing was happening. So to me, once we took this safety, that told me that Grier has a plan for free agency to get somebody.
Okay.
That's the indication I got by him picking those players, that he must, because going into the season, like you said, you can't rely on what we have.
No.
And I really felt like if he just let that go that far into the rounds, I was like, wow, maybe he knows something and he's going to do something that we don't know. I wouldn't put him past him, because that's the one thing he excels at, is getting free agents. Now, he always gets people that are hurt, but they're usually great players. But unfortunately, they get hurt a lot. So
that's right. So now the next two picks are the most big time intriguing pick. There you go. Josh Wingate, Delaware boy. So there you go. He likes his hometown guys. So this next one is another guy that I've been banging the table for throughout the draft process. I was a huge fan of him. I had some people trying to talk me down on him. They're like, oh, dude, I don't know. I just don't see it, last year, whatever. But when you watch the film, you look at the numbers, and, if you look at last year's numbers and then you look at 2023, there's two different stories there. You have one guy whose number, but his team wasn't that great. You have his numbers a little down, 900 whatever yards, whatever it was. I don't have it in front of me. But the year before, 1,700 yards, 20-something plus touchdowns. In the Heisman Trophy conversation, when you watch the film, you see a guy who can do it all. He could, he could run, he could catch. You could put him on a short yardage situation. He's everything Miami needed. I'm telling you, this kid, when I saw he got picked, I understand people were upset. I like Damian Martinez too out of Miami. I get it. Hometown, you want your guy from college, from the U to go to be. I get all that. But don't hate on Ollie Gordon. Give this kid a chance. Pair him up with Devon Achin. Trust me, you're gonna love what you see with this kid. And a lot of people say, "Oh, he has not enough tread on his tires." Whatever. I forgot who said that, but not true. This, not enough tread on his tires. This kid is gonna be good. I'm very excited about this pick, Fish Tank. And you've kind of stated that already. You saw this pick go down. I'm going to be honest. I came on. You weren't on that. I don't think you were there, but I got on. I was about to come back on the show anyway. I saw they paid the pick. I got on. I was screaming. I was like, this is what we freaking need. This is what we need. And we got him. And I love him. And I'm excited for this kid. Talk to me about Ollie Gordon, Fish Tank.
And this goes right back to what I was talking about. A about getting the guard in the first place. We haven't been able to make those important yards. And they said, oh, we're going to make them. We brought this beast in front of this beast that's going to come behind them. And they're going to, the combined of those two, they better have Dracula or somebody ready to bite somebody on the other side, is what I'm trying to say, you know? Because that's a 1-2 punch. And I wouldn't want that coming at me if I was on the defensive side. And I really like Ollie. We've been needing a big body. We need somebody that can make it happen. And like you said, Martinez was on the board. I know. But this guy's like raw power, man. I like it.
Yeah, again, he's going to be an awesome complement to Devon Achen's speed. And he's going to give Achen that opportunity to spread out, be it that receiver role, do different things. You don't have to rely on being your first and second down back. I think that Ollie Gordon has become a fan favorite pretty quick. Again, last year you go, man, but how did his numbers drop? Bad supporting cast. Not a good team in Oklahoma State. Look at his numbers before. If you care so much about numbers, if you want to see, watch the film. That's all I'm going to tell you. Watch last year's film. You're going to fall in love with the kid if you know what you're looking at. But if you want to look at numbers, go look at the year before. 1,732 yards, 20 some odd touchdowns. I think it was 22, 23 total touchdowns. Receiving, he does it all. You know, motor, energy, blocking, awesome.
And that's the part I like right there. Blocking.
Yeah.
You need him sometimes back there to give you that extra half a second. And if he's back there, you'll usually get it 9 out of 10 times. So I like it. I like that.
So the next pick there was another one where you're kind of like, even though you know there were some other guys on that board, and you might have been like, okay, do they take another run? Do they take another corner? Do they go here? Do they go receiver? In the back of your mind, you see that guy still on the board, and you're going, damn, would it be cool if they took the quarterback? What if they took Quinn Ewers? Same thing as like the Shador talk. You know? So what if they took the quarterback? And I remember saying, man, hey, he's still there, dude. I hope they come away with him in one of these picks. Hope he doesn't get stolen. And there they go. They take Quinn Ewers out of Texas at 231. And again, another one where I was like, I like it. This is great value. This, you didn't draft, you didn't overreach. It's not like you took him in the 5th and lost a valuable pick at that point. You waited until the 7th round and got a player that last year could have been a first-round pick, was projected to be a first-round pick. At one point, he was the number 1 player out of high school, almost was projected to be a number 1 overall pick. He had bad advice, went back to school, lost his job to Arch Manning in Texas, but played in big games. Now he's a 7th round pick, but this was not a good year for quarterbacks coming out of this draft. Quarterbacks were taking, so you got this guy in the 7th round. I like it. I'm ecstatic by it. I'm not saying, oh, he's the next big thing. He's franchise. No, slow down, dude. Slow down. He's a 7th round pick.
Don't get that hyped.
Yeah, but what does this offer you? What does this do for Dolphin fans? Let me tell you what this does for the Dolphins. For me, or my opinion, Miami goes into the season obviously with Tua Tagovailoa as your starting quarterback. You got Zach Wilson back there. You get to see Quinn Ewers in preseason. More likely will be the 3rd guy, unless he could beat out Zach, which could happen. But Zach is a veteran. He's a 1st-round pick. Maybe he ends up doing really well. We don't know. But if and when Tua gets hurt next year, Zach is going to come in. What if Zach craps the bed or gets hurt himself? Now, and then, let's say the Dolphins, though, crap the bed. Let's say the Dolphins are lost for the season. It's another bad year. Hank and I are sitting here on Fitz Talk today going, oh, well, let's look ahead. Guess what? Now Miami took a guy in the 7th round who has a way higher ceiling than Skylar Thompson. This is not a Skylar Thompson type pick. This is a different type of pick, a different type of guy you took. This is a guy with upside, big time. So you let him, you go ahead and give him that opportunity. You put him at the starting spot if the season is lost, right? Or someone's hurt. Now you see what you got in him. What if he hits it off? It's a win-win. If he hits it off for Miami, you got your guy. You have nothing to worry about. When he has all these weapons, you have nothing to worry about. Or if he doesn't, now guess what? You only spent a 7th-round pick. He's your backup. Now you could use your 1st-round pick on a QB next year, and you're not losing anything. it's a win-win for Miami. So this is why I think it's a solid pick, and I do think he's going to be a good player in the NFL. I think if he's, I'd say, I'm going to be fair, I think he'll be a solid backup if he is, and I think he has a chance to be a good starter if he ever had that opportunity. Not great. Not great. Not going to say that, but if he gets a chance, I think he can win you a couple games.
Okay. This pick, when you're picking in the 7th round, you're just picking the candy you like, whatever's left hanging on the tree. You know, you're taking whatever's shiny to you at the end. Okay, whatever you might want to throw in there. For me, getting him in the 7th round was pretty damn good. I gotta admit, I didn't expect him to be in the 7th round, to be totally honest with you. I know, like you said, he's not elite and all this, but you want a solid pick and you want a solid, guaranteed almost 3rd-string quarterback, you got one. Unlike Skylar Thompson, I didn't feel like he could do much. And I feel like at least having this guy in place, and like you said, during preseason, we'll see where he sits. And I think Zach Wilson will be our backup, and I think he will be the 3rd stringer. But if he does good enough over the season, like you said, and he has to come in, then he winds up being our solid number 2. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say too, with Ewers, right? Duke says it, quick release, good for our system. But also, again, his pedigree, what he's done in college football.
yeah.
He's played in big games. He's won big games. He's stepped in big
Mm-hmm.
games. He knows what it is to get sat, benched, and now he knows what it is to face tough things and falling into the 7th round. He's there to prove himself. I mean, he lost a lot of money. He could have stayed in college another year in NIL and probably got $8 million. He ended up paying. Now he's going to be paid $800,000. That's a lot of money that he lost, and that sucks for him. And I feel for him. And that happened with a lot of guys this year, this draft class. But I'm excited with the prospect of Quinn Ewers, and I'm not saying he can't be great. Not going to say that. I'm just not. I'm not just saying. I'm not going to put our blinders on and say, oh, he's going to be. No, let's give this kid an opportunity. This is a win-win for Miami because you got a solid backup plan, if that is the backup plan for the future, or a legit backup plan if Tua falls, gets hurt and Dolphins fall flat on their face. You can put this kid in and see what you got. And if he ends up showing up and showing out, holy crap, we got our guy in the 7th round. If he doesn't, Hank, we got all our picks next year. We got a couple extra picks. Me, Josh Wingate, Coach Vogel are already watching and going into the 26th draft. And I'm telling you, there are some good picks next year. Offensive line specifically, too. Just got to say, I really love what I see with offensive line next year. But quarterbacks, there's some good ones coming out. I'm really looking forward to this college football season. There's some really good quarterbacks coming out, way better than this year. But I'm excited about this pick. Zeke Biggers was our last pick at 253, another D tackle. And, if Lou is still on here, Lou from Dade, co-host of the SoFlo Sports Show with 305 Sports Babe, his wife. I was on their show, Fish Tank, and I kept saying, when I look at this draft and I look at this, between Jonas Savanea and the D tackles, the 3 D tackles, I keep thinking of Arby's. We have the beef. That's what my draft. I can see every time I say it, we have the beef. That's what this draft was. And we'll see what he can do. But this guy's huge, man. Zeke Biggers. Biggers, lives up to his name, 6'6", 320, absolutely massive.
Wow.
Disruptor on the line of scrimmage. He's blocked 4 kicks in his college football career. So this guy, special teams, this guy on the defense, on those field goal attempts, this is what you're getting. I'm intrigued by this guy. I think Miami's D tackle position next year is going to be a very big surprise for Miami fans, especially the ones, Fish Tank, like, what you were saying, that you kind of like, man, they could have got somebody better on your board, but that by the time next year, you're like, I freaking love Kenneth Grant. You know what I mean? They're like, I get it now. Even though Jahdae Barron, I believe, is going to have an awesome career, and I wish he was a Dolphin. I think Dolphin fans are going to love this kid and going to love some of the picks that we got here. And I'm not. That's not a stamp of approval. I know somebody go, how can the others do Chris Grier sucks, dude. I'm still on that train. I want him gone too. But you know what? There's a lot of these picks that I like that I would have made the same pick. I would have picked Ollie Gordon too. I would have took Quinn Ewers. I would have took Jonah Savanea. I would have done that. You know,
I don't have a problem with a lot of the picks. Like I said, I had a different preference.
I'm with you, Aladino. I think Quinn Ewers is going to come in very hungry, very quick. Undrafted free agents. I'll tell you, there's a lot of people who believe that Miami had a way better undrafted free agency than they had a draft. I mean, and I was looking at some of these kids today. I want to make sure I pull this up just to make sure. So Jalen Conyers out of Texas Tech, red zone threat, not much of a blocker. That's one thing. He's average, very average as a blocker, but 6'3", 260, good red zone threat. He had 3 touchdowns in the red zone against Colorado. I like him. What is it? 30 receptions, 320 yards, 5 touchdowns last year for Conyers. They signed 4 wide receivers in undrafted free agency, like right off the bat, Fish Tank. Very surprising, like, whoa, wait a second. But Andrew Armstrong out of Arkansas, 6'3", 202. He had 78 receptions last year, 1,100 yards, and a touchdown. They took Theo Reese, 6'3", another guy, 6'3". Let me see if I got his size somewhere. 6'3", 200 pounds. He did better, in my opinion. He had 60 receptions, 884 yards, and 4 touchdowns last year. Who's the other receivers? See if I got him here. AJ Henning out of Northwestern, and Monterey Baldwin, who's 5'9". He's a smaller guy. I think Henning is 5'10". So, and he had 600
for speed.
Yeah, that guy's 603 yards, 4 touchdowns. And let's see, this gentleman, Baldwin, was about almost 17 yards per catch. So they had to sign before. I'm gonna tell you, out of the receivers, I'm intrigued. I think Armstrong could probably be a practice squad type player. I'm intrigued by his size. I think Theo Reese has a good opportunity. He could end up as one of our last wide receivers. He can make the 53. I think he has an opportunity to do that. I'm intrigued by Theo Reese. BJ Adams, cornerback out of UCF. Love his size. He's 6'2", 182. He had 14 total tackles last year, 2 interceptions, 2 pass deflections. I'm going to watch more film on him because I'm very intrigued, and especially with Miami's weak cornerback room right now that we project this week. Could surprise us. We don't know, but I like that they took BJ Adams out of Central Florida. I'm excited about that one. Signed to safety, John Saunders out of Mississippi. A lot of teams were in on him. Miami actually gave him a 6-figure guaranteed deal to bring sure he came in. So that kind of tells you something. He was a very productive player for Ole Miss last year. 27 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, and 5 passes defended.
Wow.
That's this guy's numbers. He was undrafted.
Wow.
Yeah, he has a shot, man. He's one of those
and
undrafted.
He's 6'2"?
That is BJ Adams.
Okay.
I don't have Saunders is height on there, but that Saunders, the safety out of Ole Miss that we signed undrafted.
Yeah.
That's that Miami paid him 6 figures. 6 figures guaranteed to bring him in. So that's one of those prospects that I think Dolphin fans on preseason are going to go, whoa, who the hell is this? He has a chance at Patrick McMorris and Dante Trader. Those guys are going to have some competition, and that dude is one of them. Eugene Asante, linebacker at Auburn. He had 45 total tackles, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble recovery. Excuse me. He was the linebacker for Auburn. Played in the Senior Bowl, he played in this year's Senior Bowl. His best season was in the 23, not the last year. He led the team with 86 tackles and 5 sacks. So Miami's gonna, he could. I think he's good. He's a good option for what do you call special teams. So what's he say? We talked about AJ Henning. Let's talk. That's another receiver. Alex Huntley, defensive line, South Carolina. We have the beef. Another D lineman guy here at Fish Tank.
I like it.
Yeah. So there's that guy. Let me see here. What did he do?
Bobby.
Yes, sir.
if you look at all these defensive tackles, try to tell me they're not trying to push up the middle and stop the run.
I'm telling you, there was a when I look at this, look, is it the plan I would have went in with? No. Obviously, corner, offensive line, whatever. But Miami went in with a specific plan with what they were planning to do. And they really addressed the defense. I mean, they really hardcore. Now, again, corner is a problem, but D-line, I think people are going to be surprised with what that can do for you. So Huntley, though, started 50 games in his career. He logged 82 tackles, 8 tackles for loss. Could be somebody who part of that lack of depth for Miami. He could be a part of that rotation. They got a guard out of Michigan. So another guy out of Michigan, but they got a guard, Josh Praby. He's an experienced guard, started 42 games across 4 seasons at Northwestern, and he spent 1 year at Michigan. So we'll see how he plays out. You know, Miami undrafted free agents offensive line usually don't last, but we'll see. Corner out of Minnesota, Ethan Robinson. Played at Bucknell before Travis in Minnesota. He recorded 24 tackles in his career. And he had, this was last year, 24 total tackles and 3 INTs. So interesting enough. And then we talked about Baldwin. And then they got another running back out of Missouri, Nate Noel. 4 seasons with Appalachian State. He then he went to the SEC in 24. And he recorded, he had 163 carries for 818 yards. So that's probably a practice squad guy. Fish Tank, did I lose you? Am I still on, or did we lose Fish Tank? Somebody in the comments let me know. I think we lost Fish Tank. But anyway, I'm very intrigued what Miami has done. Let's see. I'm sorry. Addison West, guard out of Western Michigan, was another guy Miami took. He was he was named to the Consensus First Team All-American. He was a team captain. Let's bring Fish Tank back in. Disappeared on us. We got
I hate when that happens. My apologies, Bobby.
No
we'll be sitting here and doing this, and what happens is people call me.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh,
and then my screen goes black, and I'm like,
that's all right. That happens, my man.
I have to hang up on them and go through the whole thing to get back into this back of the studio, you know? So,
I got you, brother. So
it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, I get it. Miami they double dipped with Western Michigan with their offensive line. Miami took their guard, Addison West, and then they took Ted Koshi, their tackle. And and Ted Koshi, I love his size. I don't know much about him. I got to watch on him, but 6'7", 305. I love that. That's huge. I love
305?
305. 6'7", 305. And then they got a long snapper out of Alabama, Nealon Hibbett. So they took him as well. We'll see how that plays out with Blake Ferguson. But anyway, I know you blocked out there towards the end, but anything intrigues you with what we were talking about with undrafted?
You know, the safeties are the key role that I think Grier went after. Because if you find a few gems at safety, and you can always support the cornerbacks, you have enough time to get that support back there off the safety, is what I'm saying. And if you're pushing up the middle and stopping the run, they're going to go to the air. And it sounds like that's what Miami has done, is built this defense for those two things. And if they get the right safeties in there, that could have a massive impact on who we have as cornerback. So I kind of I like a lot about it, but I'm still concerned about our cornerbacks. That's my big concern right now, is our cornerbacks. And I really believe we need to bring in a free agent or somebody for the cornerback room. Now, if Jalen Ramsey, if nobody wants him and nobody wants to pay for him, he'll be with Miami. Now, how much of a problem is that going to cause, Or do you think they're going to be able to move him?
So There's a lot of teams that want him. They got a great market for him. One of the main teams is the Rams. That's the story. What's holding it up? That's actually what's about today.
Compensation.
It's Miami taking up most of the guaranteed amount. That's where the hiccup is for Miami. But teams are like the Rams are, like here's one here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. See if that information on there. So you trade. Are the receivers we got in under fair? Are they tall, over 6 feet? Did I hear correct? So 2 of them are. 2 are not. One is 5'9", the other one is 5'10". Armstrong is 6'3", Duke. That one is he's out of Arkansas. Theo Reese is the other one. He's another 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds. So those 2 guys, yeah. So we got 2 6'2", 6'3" guys, and the 2 others are on the 5'9", 5'10" size. So 2 yes, 2 no. And this is taking a little bit forever. So anyway, we know the Rams. There are plenty of teams that are interested in Jalen Ramsey, the Rams being the favorite right now. McVay even talked about it. Sean McVay. He says that he has a very good relationship with Jalen Ramsey. Talks are ongoing with Miami, and that he will see where it kind of plays out. It's just about is Miami going to bite the dust and take eat the guaranteed? That's where the hiccup is. We'll see. As long as Miami gets a solid pick out of it, you got to move on from that drama. It sucks because you need Jalen Ramsey.
There might be some crow eating on both sides.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is if he really wants to go, he might have to give up a few dollars to get where he wants to be. And meaning that Miami pay less and then he's gone.
So, I mean, it's going to suck. I'll be honest with you. I wish it could work out with Ramsey, but supposedly the report is that he just doesn't want to play with McDaniel anymore. Doesn't respect McDaniel, and it sucks. It is what it is. Obviously, I thought they were pretty close, but obviously it didn't work out, and you can't change it. And the best move forward is just to move on. That's how I feel. I think don't force it. Don't keep him on the team. You don't want a happy camper. You don't want an angry camper. So move him along. Get what you can get out of him. You get a 3rd round pick. Perfect. That's a solid thing for him.
It's simple. It's the equation is simple. Ramsey is an alpha male, and he doesn't feel like McDaniel can run all those alpha males. He feels like it's a kid trying to lead leaders, and it doesn't work.
And that's why, and if that is the case, right? Because if that is the case, and which could realistically be, because supposedly a lot of veterans were rubbed the wrong way after Miami went on that run. They didn't kind of like how he was acting, and maybe that is the case. And you hear that when he even admitted, Mike McDaniel, during that press conference, that players were late. They were coming late to meetings, and fines weren't working, and whatever. It's like that obviously means they don't respect you, and when they don't respect you, that's a tough pill to swallow. So maybe the best case scenario for a Coach McDaniel would be to trade Ramsey, trade Tyreek. It's going to bite you in the ass cap-wise, but start, get these young guys in here, and hopefully you would hope that your best buddy and Tua and whomever will have your back and say, hey, guys, we got to stand behind Coach and move forward. If not, you're going to be out of a job by the end of the year, and it's just what it is. It sucks when the best players in the league don't want to play for you. That's a tough pill to swallow, and hopefully Ross sees that, and hopefully though McDaniel lives up past that. Hopefully he could go against those expectations and rise above them. We'll see. I'll tell you what, talking about Tyreek Hill, because we're talking about Jalen Ramsey, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, let's talk about it all.
Did you see today? I know you've been busy. You are a very busy man right now, and I get it.
Sorry.
But I'm going to ask you, though, either way, and it's okay to say no, I'll tell you anyway. Did you get to see Tyreek's tweet today? Or the video coming around? Okay.
No.
So innocently enough, he was asked. He was answering some questions, which is pretty cool, right? You get a chance to ask one of the best players in football a question. You ask him. He was asked, Tyreek, could you rank your top 5 to 10 quarterbacks in the league? He gave 5
quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you this: who do you think he said? Can you give me top 5 that you think he would have said?
Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
It's a debate after that, to be honest with you.
No, and that's okay. He said it, no particular order. He just gave 5 quarterbacks that off the top of his head. So
yeah, I have no idea who he would have put, but I'm guessing he didn't put Tua.
That's right. So who would he be put? So let's just say it like this, okay? Patrick Mahomes.
Did he put the Rams quarterback on there?
So these are here's the teams. You ready? Here's the players. So, and we'll say, okay, fair enough, not fair, whatever. All right. Pat Mahomes, fair.
Yeah.
That's Pat Mahomes, right? Josh Allen, fair. That's Josh Allen, bro. Lamar
Guy's
Jackson.
got a gun.
Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. Come on. I get that.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Definitely.
Now, here's the interesting. Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield.
Those were his top 5 guys that he mentioned in that video. So that's where I'm like, okay, I can understand him saying the top 4 guys. And like, but
even Burrow's a little questionable, but if that's your fourth or fifth, if that's your fourth guy, I'm okay with Burrow in the NFL right now. So,
and no knock on Baker Mayfield. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be considered, because Baker Mayfield, what he's done for Tampa Bay, how he's revitalized his career, 100%.
He's done a phenomenal job.
Even if you don't believe Tua's top 5, you're still his receiver. You would, you should still say like, oh, my boy Tua, even if you don't believe it. But to me, I'll tell you, okay, I'm gonna let you go ahead and respond. What do you think about this? Is this a big deal or not a big deal?
I think he was ask a question, and I think he gave what he felt was the most honest answer at the time.
Fair enough.
And I don't think he's trying to slight anyone else. I just think that he feels, after being on the team and seeing what his abilities are, that he's not in the top 5 in his opinion.
And
that's fine.
And I'll tell you, I think you're right. I think he answered honestly. I will say, I think he knows exactly what he was doing. He knew what he was going to do after he did not mention Tua, because he has been, since traded to Miami, been one of Tua's biggest advocates. This is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever played for. People were pissed because, like, wait, you played with Pat Mahomes, the most accurate quarterback ever. He praised to it. Now, finally, after all this time, after all the drama from last year, from the end of the season to throughout the offseason to right now, he said he doesn't mention Tua. So that's why it's such a big deal to me. Yeah, I think he answered honestly. And I think it's great that he took questions, but it is something where you go, did he lose Tua now? And that's where it's like, okay, I think he sees that, he's finally telling the truth. Nightmare says, I think he looks at Jalen Ramsey's situation. He knows Jalen Ramsey is probably going to get traded before he is, and he could be trying to force Miami's hand. And it sucks, but it is what it is. It's obviously a big cap hit. Miami, Chris Grier made a dumbass mistake. Excuse me, those who are tuning in. I don't mean to, but a dumbass mistake extending Tyreek last year. You didn't need to do it. Tyreek was settled. He was done. You extended him, and now you bit you in the ass, and now you're stuck with him unless you're willing to take the hit. Daniel says, Daniel in the house. What's up, Daniel? He says, have to understand what's going on. He wants out of retool in Tampa that's fair enough. And that's my point. I think but also though, Baker Mayfield's not a bad answer. I understand it, because what he's done in Tampa since he's been there, he's been great. He's doing great. But I understand, Daniel. That's my point with saying, like, he's not stupid. Tyreek knows exactly what he's doing when he's answering this question. He knows by not mentioning Tua, people are to go, what the hell? And, maybe as sensitive as Tua's been claimed to be, hopefully he's not. Hopefully he doesn't give a damn, and he's just like, let's keep moving ahead. That, maybe Tua sees that and it bothers him. And maybe that's what Tyreek wants. Maybe Tua goes to Chris Grier, goes, dude, we need to move him. I can't work with him.
Maybe he's using a little reverse psychiatry on Tua.
Maybe, but
I don't think so.
Like the soap opera.
So we're clear, I don't think so.
I got you. But like that soap opera goes, my mom used to watch back in the day, As the World Turns, and that goes from As the Finns World Turns. I don't know if that's the right song, because I'm like,
As the Finns Swiss.
There you go. That's right. But anyway, Fish Tank, at the top of the show, you revealed what your grade was. You said, and you're with a C right now. Is that right? That's your draft grade for Miami?
And like I said, it has nothing to do with with the players' abilities and who I liked, that was strictly because of who I thought we should have picked.
Yeah, you
And
there
I
are
was
guys on
trying
the
to be
board that you
honest with how I felt. But if you take a look at the draft overall and take a look at the players we got, they have a plan, especially on defense. They want that defensive rotation hot. They want it hot. You bring in that many DTs, you want something to happen. You want to find that spark you need to stop the run and get the push or get the double teams, something. And I think once you put any one of those 2 or 3 players next to Chop and Sealer, I I think you're going to create a lot of havoc. And it's something that we haven't had in a long time. However, you left your backside wide open in
yeah.
the secondary. And let me tell you, you think about some of the wide receivers that we have to face in this league, we're going to get eaten up in that secondary if that defensive line doesn't make a push. We're going to get chewed up. So, but that's, we're not done. It's still off season. But if I go based on all that and I put that all together, I love some of the players we got.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say, yeah, this player was better, looking back at what we did. It's hard to say that now when you look at who all we got and what they can do for us. So if I had to put a overall grade, take my emotions out of it, and look at what direction the Dolphins went, I'd say a C plus because I like the players they got, especially the second, for the offensive line. I thought that was a fabulous pick. I was head over heels happy with that one. I like I said at the time I wasn't
Yeah.
thrilled about losing the 98, but like you said, that was one of my favorite offensive players also.
Yeah.
And I'd been hoping that we might possibly get him, and we did. So and the 1-2 punch we have on defensive tackle. We have a 1-2 punch now on offense with Ollie Gordon in the backfield. So I like that. I like what they've done. I'm just really hoping that Chris Grier does his thing. And if we get rid of Ramsey, get somebody in here. I don't care who it is. But what we currently have will not hold up, like you said, against Josh Allen twice a year. You won't. You'll just get beat up.
Yeah, we're gonna see how that plays out. I'll tell you, I'm with you. I get your points too. It's not about the player. It's and we think these could be good players, but like you were saying though, for you, and I think many people, because again, I would have went another way at 13, but I thought I hate Kenneth Grant. I'm excited about that pick, but I would have went Jade Barron. I was more worried about offensive. I mean, corner than I was D tackle. That's just how I felt. I think you could have got yourself a quality D tackle probably in the mid rounds and been okay with it. But
Mm-hmm.
again, Kenneth Grant could be a superstar and we'll love it and we'll be excited, but you're going to be struggling next year in the secondary unless those guys surprise a lot of people. I'm with you. I think because of all those, again, what gets it to it, I'm at a C plus. That's what the grade I gave on the SoFo Sports Show. I was a C plus because they were, like you said, there were guys I think that Miami left on the board that I think I would have preferred. But at the same time, though, to come away with Kenneth Grant, come away with a plan with the D tackles, get a lot of beef. You take my favorite offensive lineman in Savannah in round 2. You go and get Ollie freaking Gordon in round 6, which I think is amazing value.
Wow.
He could have gone way ahead of there, and you get him in round
Yeah.
6. And then you turn around and you get in round 7 Quinn Ewers, who again at one point was projected to be a first round pick a year ago.
I can't believe it. I can't
So
believe that one. So
it's a C plus. And again, I don't, I give that just because, I know it's a popular thing, but I do believe that you got to give these kids an opportunity to grow. don't judge them right away. Oh, they're gonna suck. Oh, this draft sucks. The Dolphins fought this a bust. We don't know if they're a
No.
freaking bust, dude. Let them play. Maybe
Yeah.
they surprise you. Give them an opportunity. They're kids. Give them a chance. 2 years tops, 2 seasons. Like Cam Smith, he's had 2 years. He hasn't showed a goddamn thing. You want to hate on him? Do it. We'll see. Maybe let's hope year three's the charm for him. We'll
Hey, Bobby,
see.
don't hold back. Tell us how you feel, bro.
So, anyway, I'm rooting for him. I just, Tua and Tyreek are not.
You're
on
just being
speaking terms.
realistic, right?
That's right. It's time to bring that back because we're gonna have to start predicting some games soon. Anyway,
we are.
It's getting there, Fish Tank. It's getting there, my man. They're gonna release the schedule soon, brother.
We're in May.
I know it's getting there, dude. It's getting there. So I guess I gotta bring back that realistic. No more, make everybody happy, Bobby. Everybody's saying you're being a homer. I'm like, me? I'm like, whoa. Okay, I've never heard that before. But
Hey, but you know what?
yes,
Let
sir.
me tell you something.
Yes, sir.
If the quarterback can't get the ball off, and here's my point, they built the heck out of that trench. And if they can't get the ball off, it doesn't matter who's back there. But we know Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, you have Patrick Mahomes, and all those players make plays off their feet.
Yeah.
And off cue, which gives them more time because they're running.
Yeah.
And with our weak cornerbacks, if we go into the season with what we have, we will get eaten up by those kinds of players.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. And I will say, Steve Malloy's in the house. Real Talk Finstock. He will be on tomorrow live at 7:30 Eastern time with more Finstock talking Dolphins. He'll have a live panel show, some special guests. I haven't found out who they are yet, but you guys, if you want to watch a great show and some dose of reality, go tune in to Steve Malloy on Real Talk Finstock. But appreciate all who's tuned in this evening. Everyone who's tuning in, wherever you're watching from. Oh.
Did you see what Duke said?
Duke, come on, Duke. Is that Duke's dose of reality? Gosh, dang. Come on.
Tell them the way it is, Duke. Don't hold back,
Don't
bro.
hold back, Duke. This is a safe space, Duke. Dang, man.
Well, thank you.
Oh, I know that. That's hilarious. Okay, that's great. But hey, you know what, guys? We appreciate you all tuning in on this Monday night. We're usually live on Saturday around noon. But we weren't on Saturday, so I told Fish Tank, I was like, I want to do a show with Hank. I haven't done it. So I said, Hank, you mind on Monday? He's like, yeah, just remind me. I'm like, cool, let's do it. So
I had to exercise the demon.
That's right. Gotta hit it out. So we appreciate you all tuning in. Please like and subscribe. We'll be back next Saturday. Don't forget, Steve Malloy is on for Real Talk Finstock tomorrow with more Finstock on the channel. Until then, my friends, like, subscribe, and most importantly, as always, Fish Tank, fins up.